With the third season of Jujutsu Kaisen comes another King Gnu banger, AIZO. It marks their fourth collaboration with the franchise after AIZO and Sakayume from Zero the Film, and one of the biggest Japanese songs ever, Specials, from Season 2. AIZO's popularity and chart performances are a direct reflection of how infectious and incredible its music is. But did you know that not just the anime itself, the production of AIZO is also heavily influenced by Quentin Tarantino's Kill Bill, and its songwriter, Tsuneta Daiki, is also the producer of Kickback from Chainsaw Man. Well, in this video, I'm gonna break down exactly what AIZO is, explore the creative process behind one of the biggest anime and Japanese rock songs of 2026, and analyze some of its notable lyrics. King Gnu is a Japanese rock band that made their major debut in 2019 and quickly became one of the hottest bands in the country thanks to their viral track, Hakujitsu. Since then, after releasing hit song after hit song, combined with the edge they always carry in their attitude and music, which is a rarity in mainstream J-pop, King Gnu have firmly cemented themselves as a staple of the Japanese rock scene. As I mentioned, Tsuneta Daiki, the vocalist, guitarist, and main songwriter of King Gnu, was also the producer of Kickback, alongside Yonezu Kenshi. Kickback was initially meant to be a drum and bass track until they pivoted after the first demo, but Tsuneta was still eager to create a song with a drum and bass influence. Plus, even though he personally worked on one of the biggest Japanese songs ever, he was still admittedly a bit jealous, so that fueled him to make the song we're discussing right now. With him as the producer, there's also an interesting parallel between the intros of both songs. Now, although AIZO is made for Jujutsu Kaisen, one thing King Gnu would never do is compromise the authenticity of their music for tie-ins. They only ever make songs that make sense to them, so the music and lyrics are all consistently on brand with their identity. But this is exactly why they're the perfect artists for Jujutsu Kaisen. For all the amazing songs and singers throughout 3 seasons and a movie, there's a reason why they're the only returning artist, similar to Mide and Freeran, which I talked about in my previous videos. The texture and atmosphere of their music, for reasons that I'll talk about later, just fit the world of Jujutsu Kaisen so perfectly. So even when they're not consciously writing a song for the show, their songs still thematically complement it. When deciding how to approach AIZO, the band feels that Japanese music in general has become rather mellow and chill in the past few years. It's taken a backseat as a supporting role, like BGM or TikTok music, rather than being the focus. While there's definitely a need for that kind of music, they believe there's still a place for songs that you wouldn't play during a night drive. So they wanted to create music that demands the audience attention, and that for fans who willingly spend their time and money to see King Gnu live, to be able to dance and engage with intensity instead of chilling for 2 hours. So in a sense, return to the kind of rock that inspired King Gnu when they were kids. One thing that instantly stands out when listening to AIZO is its traditional Japanese elements, including classical Japanese music known as gagaku, and the iconic Japanese instrument, the shamisen. But those are sounds that historically should never appear in the same piece of music. Gagaku was most popular around the 10th century, mainly using instruments like the sho, as heard in the intro of AIZO, whereas shamisen only rose to prominence in the 15th century, and was only occasionally incorporated into gagaku in modern days. The reason why King Gnu decided to mix all these elements together without abiding by tradition is actually influenced by Hollywood, more specifically, Quentin Tarantino. It's a similar sense of adding a yellow filter when the movie takes place in Mexico. It's a foreign, stereotypical POV, but this time reimagined by the locals. Tsuneta wanted AIZO to sound Japanese, so he used the old-school Yonanoki arrangement, which naturally evokes the Japanese vibe, as I also touched on in the Senbonza collab video. But when it comes to traditional instruments, he hesitated. The reason is that it's been overused in modern music to the point of being cliché. Plus, it irritates him when so-called critics decide whether it's the correct way of integrating those elements into pop or rock music. So he decided to take a page out of Tarantino's book, this unrealistic, ultra-stylized take on history and culture, like what he did in Kill Bill. The end result is astonishing. A huge part of Shimizu Kaiyu from Season 3 of Jujutsu Kaisen is about sorcerers from different eras appearing. So the use of different instruments from different genres and eras is actually the most poetic way to mirror the anime. And as if AIZO's production wasn't amazing enough, the shamisen you hear throughout the song is played by Shirafuji Hikari, a popular shamisen player, and King Gnu's drummer, Sekiyu's wife. How beautiful is that? Before I talk about what exactly AIZO means, I want to tell you about my first ever sponsor. JP Fans is a proxy shopping service that brings Japan right to your doorstep. Anyone who's been a fan of J-pop or anime would know that regional restriction is the ultimate barrier that big Japanese companies like to impose. The number of times I find something I like on Amazon only to realize there's a JP behind it is soul-crushing. But with JP Fans, you can have Mercari, Yahoo, Flea Market, and Amazon Japan all in the palm of your hand. They offer free quality inspection photos, as you can see from the many things I've already bought, which I'll do a bit of unboxing in my future video. Right now, you can get a 50% off Mercari coupon worth up to 1,000 yen on its homepage, and 8 shipping coupons worth up to $86 from the link in my bio. Stop missing out on Japan exclusive releases by going to JP Fans. Now back to the video. Although the title, AIZO, is written in Roman letters, its meaning is quite obvious once you look at the lyrics. The most memorable part of the song is the repetition of AIZO AIZO, which is written in Japanese kanji. Ai means love, and zo means hate. They're supposed to be at the opposite ends of the emotional spectrum. Both are very strong emotions that contradict each other, yet they're also incredibly similar sentiments. AIZO as the title perfectly captures both the song and the anime's overarching theme: love and hate, good and bad, truth and lies, all the extreme and necessary contradictions that make us who we are. It also depicts the complex relationship between the twin sisters in the show, Maki and Mai. The rivalry, the hate, but more than anything, the love between the two of them, as we see unfold over the seasons, was definitely the highlight of the entire story in terms of the emotional depth between two characters. While I won't read too much into AIZO's music video, the twins who are played by actual twins are clearly a reference to Maki and Mai, especially with them referencing a certain scene from the anime. And now let's move on to the lyrics. Unlike the songs I have introduced so far, AIZO isn't about healing, storytelling, or sending a message. It's a reflection and a mood, so the lyrics are much more abstract, requiring the listener to feel them emotionally rather than understand them literally, which makes it very difficult to decipher as a linear narrative. And since Tsuneta didn't really have the story of Jujutsu Kaisen in mind when writing the song, aside from the overall vibe, a mix of classic and modern, and a few nods, it would be a stretch to try to connect the dots between the lyrics and the anime. However, I'll still try to explain some of the best lyrics, because Tsuneta truly wrote a really special song that deserves a deeper look. The song begins with the Gagaku verse, setting the tone for this fusion of a song. It's quite a shame that it's not included in the anime version because the use of Gagaku is very rare in mainstream music, and it's such a masterstroke to jump from one of the oldest forms of orchestra to the only English part of the song. But I guess it's worth it to save it for the most climatic fight scene of Season 3. I had full body chills when the show started playing during the standoff. In terms of fitting the scene, AIZO might be even better than specials. In the intro, the chant of love me, hate me, kill me is obviously an extension of the title, but it also shows King Gnu's character. They're not afraid of words or ideas that may be deemed provocative or controversial. They also don't feel burdened and have no interest in telling listeners what to feel or do. In response to those who accuse video games or music of having a negative influence, they believe it's the audience's responsibility for how they consume and process hobbies and entertainment. Nothing's going to censor their music. It's been a while since Tsuneta has written a song as straightforward as AIZO, but similar to how musically they're trying to return to what rock meant to them, lyrically they're also trying to rediscover their origin, the drive that made them want to become a rock band in the first place. After very little build-up, the song dives right into the chorus. Love and hate swirling around explains the title, and it's a really nice touch to write Maware Maware in this fashion. While it's normally written this way, here it was changed to Kai from Jujutsu Kaisen, which has the same pronunciation and meaning, just slightly more old school and nuanced. The second half of the chorus got this swag and carefreeness to it. Tsuneta tends to write songs about the people and environment around him, and as one of the most popular bands in Japan, King Gnu naturally gets a lot of AIZO, so he's learned to embrace and devour all these emotions. Saraba is a slightly old-fashioned way of saying goodbye, kind of like farewell. But mata aimashou is a modern way of saying see you, so even here you see a blend of eras. And although the lyrics so far seem to come from a place of madness and cynicism, which is on brand with King Gnu, their music also tends to have a positive outlook, as shown by the fact that, despite the craziness of Tokyo and people inevitably drifting apart, the final line of the chorus is wishing to see someone again. The first and second verses are actually pretty empowering. The lyrics acknowledge and embrace the incomplete version of ourselves. It doesn't matter if you're not where you want to be or if you curate your ideal life instead of the reality on social media. Moving on to the second chorus. This part honestly has some of the best lyricism I have ever seen. AIZO AIZO ni agaite. Even though internally you're struggling with love and hate. Gaiko AIZO furimaite. Externally, you still hypocritically or out of necessity, especially in Japan, put out a fake smile when socializing with others. Obviously, it's a return to the theme of contrast within humanity. But what makes it so genius is that these two lines mirror each other phonetically and structurally, especially AIZO and AIZO, the internal emotions of love and hate, and the external expression of kindness and affection. If you're into Japanese culture, it's things like this that make learning Japanese worthwhile. That being said, my favorite part of AIZO is actually its bridge. In Jujutsu Kaisen, Tokyo is referred to as Makyo, a realm of demons and monsters, and in real life, it's also getting closer to it. This metropolis is becoming a place filled with overstimulation, extreme capitalism, overpopulation, over-tourism, immigrants, anti-foreigners, anti-immigrants, and countless broken dreams, because Tokyo is where people go and find their Japanese version of the American dream. So it truly makes sense that in the world of Jujutsu Kaisen, which is built on people's negativity, Tokyo is at the center of everything. The amazing thing is, this is simply Tsuneta's experience and observation living in Tokyo. This is not a reference to Jujutsu Kaisen. So why does it fit so well with the story? Well, because Jujutsu Kaisen is also created by its author through a similar lens. They're literally expressing similar sentiments towards the state of the world in the form of rock and manga. And that's why King Gnu's music fits the Jujutsu Kaisen worldview so seamlessly. AIZO was described by King Gnu's members as a straight punch, both musically and lyrically. And that really is the most accurate analogy. It is so much faster and more dynamic than most J-pop and J-rock songs these days. Yet its lyrics also have so much depth and emotion, while the lyricism is simply exquisite. I wouldn't say outdone is the word when comparing AIZO to specials, because it is specials we're talking about. But one thing's for sure, AIZO officially cements that King Gnu is Jujutsu Kaisen. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed. You can find more videos about J-pop and anime songs on my YouTube channel, or my Patreon, where I'll be posting videos that were taken down or trimmed due to copyright. This has been Cushion. See you next time.